Hi everyone, Bandanner here, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to this week's WARNO devblog that will certainly be a bit longer than last week's. This week's devblog is titled Nemesis 4.1 Covering Force Area. So we're going to get our first choice for the Nemesis 4 DLC. We still don't have any information on Nemesis 3. I'm not sure why they haven't at least announced what we're going to be getting in that as yet, but watch this space. Hopefully they'll just ensure that what's on offer in Nemesis 4 can't sort of overlap with getting identical stuff to what's in Nemesis 3. So what are the two divisions in 4.1? Well, first up is the Dutch-led Beveligende Strijdmacht. I promise I tried to look up how to pronounce those, but there wasn't much stuff forthcoming. Anyhow, they will be up against the East German 20th Motorisierte Schützen Division. And they note it is heavily inspired by the 4 Days to Weser Army General campaign. For those who are new and are not familiar with the Nemesis voting system, basically they will give us 4.1, 4.2 and 4.3. Each will be two sets of divisions, and then we will all vote at the end to make one of those into the next DLC. They do make a little comment about Nemesis 3, but it is basically what I said at the start, which is just that they're not announcing it yet. I'm not entirely sure why. Anyhow, Nemesis 4.1, the Covering Force Area. For those who aren't familiar, the Covering Force Area is basically an area that kind of pokes out into East Germany, but was obviously under the control of West Germany during the Cold War. You can Google it. Anyhow, let's have a look at NATO's Dutch division. I'm not even going to try to pronounce its name again. We'll just call it the BS division. Oh, that sounds bad. I don't mean it like that. Or maybe I do. We'll see what's in it first. It basically translates to covering or security force, you gen say. While the inefficient pre-war mobilization strategy of the First Dutch Corps saw the bulk of fighting forces located hundreds of kilometers away in the Netherlands, several formations were pre-deployed in West Germany. The tip of the spear, so to speak, considered the 41st Panzer Brigade and 2 battalions which formed the Corps Multinational Task Force defending the covering force area. This formation, though fighting in the West German 3rd Panzer Division sector, meaning they get some Bundeswehr attachments, was technically under the Dutch 1st Corps command. What I would just say is, how the hell were they going to fight under those conditions? Who was actually running the show and in charge then? Anyhow, this is a really weird mix. So this task force was composed of the Dutch 41st Panzer Brigade, the Dutch 1st Engineer Battalion, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the Dutch, the Dutch 103rd Recon Battalion, the West German Panzer Brigade 7, the West German Aufklärungspanzer Arbeitslung 3? Obviously when there's a number at the end here, it just means like 3rd, 7th, etc. The West German Heeresflieger Regiment 16, I assume that's anti-air, elements of the US 2nd Armoured Division's Forward HQ, and the West German BGS Border Guards. My immediate takeaway is this division is going to be all over the place, so maybe it is the BS division. Okay, all that said, what do they actually get in the game? Well, it's an average category for logistics, they say. Being a temporary multinational battle group with no dedicated HQ, it won't have the strongest logistics and command and control. They say that, but it seems to have decent logistics in my mind here. So they've got access to a new Dutch heavy DAF YHZ 2300 VRAC, as well as a German Unimog and the M11A3 munitions as supply vehicles, and they will also get a FOB, so that's not bad. Then they'll get the West German M577GA2 and the Dutch YPR 765 PRCO-CI command vehicles, and the Americans will contribute the OH-60A command and the UH-1H supply, with the Bundeswehr bringing the BO-105M Führer and the CH-53G munitions. They seem to get loads of munitions and stuff. Sometimes I feel like I disagree when you gen say, this is going to be bad, because it actually doesn't sound that bad. Okay, what about the infantry tab? Well, infantry forces available to this battle group are pretty good, with powerful combination of Dutch and West German mechanized infantry. The Dutch Panzer infantry, all variants, will get the YPR 765 PRI IFV, armed with the 25mm chain gun. The Bundeswehr Panzer Grenadiers will get the Marder 1A2 and the M11A1G. These squads are backed up by the Dutch M2HB machine gun, as well as the West German MG3 and Milan 2 weapon teams. and there will be a few truck and M113 based Dutch Genie or engineers and American engineers in the M113s. Okay, artillery tab. An average category, as the BS division had fewer and lighter artillery battalions than a full division. So either the Dutch 109A2, the West German 109A3 GA1 self-propelled 155mm howitzers, so plenty of self-propelled. They'll also get the Dutch self-propelled M106A2 107mm mortars, backed by towed MO120 RT60 120mm mortars, and the West German Panzermörser self-propelled ones. That's a lot of self-propelled artillery, to be fair. What about tanks? Well, they say it's very good. So the Dutch Landmacht brings powerful Leopard 2A4Bs in good numbers, supported by the Bundeswehr's cheaper Leo 1A1A1s and 1A5s. Command variants are also present. Dedicated tank destroyers include the deadly Dutch YPR 765 Pirat and the West German Jaguar 2. At this stage, this sounds like a heavily mechanized tank division. Okay, what about the recon tab? It's an excellent category, they say, because it doesn't just have one, but two recon battalions, further reinforced by forward deployable American air mobile elements. This means a very large selection of recon units is available. So they'll be getting access to things like the Dutch M113 C&V, the BO105CB, the YPR 765 PRRRDR, as well as the Verkinners and the Laro Jeeps. The West German will bring the Lux, the Alf Clara in Iltis, Alouette 2s, and the Fuchs Razit, as well as the BGS bringing their patrol with a dedicated Puma helicopter, or the new VW T2B van. The Americans are present with the OH-58D Kiowa, the Kiowa Warrior, Scouts in an M151A2 M2HB, as well as the CEWR units. So surely their anti-air tab is going to be bad, right? So they say it's rather average. With the formation lacking a divisional AA battalion relying on brigade anti-aircraft assets. As a result, they will benefit from a Dutch nearby SAM battalion, the Dutch 3rd GGW, relocated from south of Hamburg to the forward battle area. They will get the new Dutch IHawk, the Cheetah PRTL, and the Stinger teams. They will also get a West German Gepard 1A1, the FK 20-2 20mm guns, and the Fliegerforce teams, and they will also be backed by the American M16A2 Pivads and Stinger manpads. Hang on a minute, how is that a bad tab? Okay, let's just move on to helicopters, which is apparently another good category. So, with the main rotary assets in the area being West German, he is Flieger Regiment. Okay, so that's a helicopter regiment, I see. I thought that was going to be anti-air or something. My German's just not that good, clearly. Its main mission was to support the delaying actions in the covering force area, playing hide and eat my ATGM with enemy columns. There are no Dutch attack helicopters, these were only procured after the Cold War. Mostly and plenty of West German BO-105 PA and the BO-105 PA 1A1s, plus a few support American Cobras in ITO and rocket payload configurations. So I'm yet to see a bad tab in this division, but I suppose it depends on the cost of all the slots. Apparently air is also going to be good. They will have both Dutch and German planes. They will include the West German F4F and Dutch NF5A in strike roles, HE, anti-tank, cluster, rocket and napalm, and they will also have F16A in anti-air and strike roles with HE and cluster. Eugen say that it's a battle group with excellent recon, good mechanized infantry, tank forces, and includes good helicopters and air cover, but lacks supporting arms. At the moment, I think it has more than enough of everything, to be honest, but we'll see. Things do tend to change if it gets voted in and then, it gets tested and is found to be too strong. Right, let's move on to the East Germans with the Warsaw Pact's 20th Motorizerte Schützen Division. They say the National Volksarmy's 20th Motorizerte Schützen Division had a special organization within the East German Army. It was on paper a mobilization division made up of 2/3 reservists and fielding largely outdated equipment. However, on the other hand, its tank regiment, 1st Battalion, was to be formed from training units that housed early variants of the T-72. This made it the only East German motorized infantry division with T-72s, as these main battle tanks were usually restricted to the 2 panzer divisions within the army. The NVA's 5th Army's plan was to clear the covering force area with second-line troops, with the best divisions, including the 9th Panzer Division, kept in reserve to be unleashed once the breakthrough had been made. It fell on the 19th and this Nemesis 20th Motorizerte Schützen Division to, unusually so, spearhead the assault, placing them in direct opposition with the Dutch BS. In order to clear the NATO delaying forces from the area, the East German formations were to be reinforced by smaller but powerful specialized independent elements, including the entire artillery and engineer brigades, an anti-tank regiment plus Soviet 138th OTD tank polk equipped with the T-64B and BV variants. Eugen say it might be worth mentioning that this is the last of the unusual East German divisions. Only standard or formations extremely similar to existing WARNO divisions remain in the historical records. So what will it actually look like in-game? Well, logistics is a good category with command vehicles, the UAZ-469 Command, the SPW-50PU and the SPW-40P2K. Supplies are provided by the Ural 4320 munitions, a few T-813s, and the new Kiraz 255B plus a FOB. Infantry is a very good category with a large array of available units. 1 out of 3 infantry regiments available to the 20th MSD was made up of regular soldiers, resulting in the Mott-Schützen squads riding to battle in the SPW-60PB, 2/3 availability, or the BMP-1 SP2 1/3 available. The remaining 2 regiments were made up of mobilized Reservisten in SPW-152Ks and the new LO-1800 Rober truck, whatever that is. The battle group can also count on a full security company with Sicherungs and Militärstreife. The latter will come with not only the regular 4-man patrols but also larger squads, riding respectively in their new Trabant 601 Jeeps and the Barkas B1000 trucks, both with military police traits. A large amount of Pioneer Combat Engineer squads in either trucks or SPW-50K APCs. Weapon support teams will of course include the SPG-9, the PALRF-8 GOT and the HMG machine guns. The Soviets will provide 1 card of Motostrelki mounted in the BMP-1P. Artillery. There are lots of artillery pieces available, they say, although only a few are self-propelled. Divisional artillery includes the D-30 towed 120mm, the D-152mm towed howitzers, as well as the BM-21 MRS in either HE or Napalm variant, and the GRWFR M43 120mm mortars that can also be deployed. The artillery brigade in support brings a large number of the MFRW RM70 MLRS units. The sizable Pioneer Brigade 5 includes, or 5th Pioneer Brigade, includes a few SPW-50PK MRFs, and the Soviets will feature a few of the 2S-12 120mm mortars and the 2S-1 Govsika. Tank Tab is another good category, with the 20 MSD's own tank force comprised mostly of the KPZ T-55A, with 1 battalion having access to the more capable KPZ T-72. Both tank models come with command variants. The Engineer Brigade features additional Flam PZ TO-55s. The anti-tank forces include the PaK MT 1200mm gun, the SPW-40P2 Malyukta P, and a few of the SPW-40P2 Konkurs. The Soviets bring extra firepower with several cards of the T-64B, BV, including command and 1 HEGM-less variant. Sounding pretty good on paper so far. What about the recon then? Well, it's rather average, they say, with the own recon battalion following the older TO&E fielding the PT-76. What's worse, the supporting Soviets had to rely on the attachment of a few East German scouts in order not to be completely blind. This results in the main vehicle selection being the Aufkol PT-76B and the SPW-40P2. Infantry scout squads include the Res Aufklärer, the SPW-40P as their vehicle, the Aufklärer in a UAZ 469 Jeep, and the Special Aufklärer in an Mi-2T. The Soviets' own token recon force are a few BRM-1s, Motorazvedka in a Razvedka BMP-1P. It doesn't sound awful, but it's not great. Well, what about the AA tab then? Well, they get plentiful anti-air. The division's organic AA battalion strengthened by army-level assets. The divisional units are the 2K12 Cub, the ZU-23-2 20mm, the Shilka, the Strela 2M, and also the new LO-800 Rober ZPU-2. Additionally, army assets include a few Krug M3s, and the Soviets will bring their share of Biryus of the MTLB Strela 10M and Igla teams. What about helicopters? Well, apparently it's rather dismal. So they can only deploy a single attack helicopter regiment, which wasn't intended to be engaged in hostilities so soon in the Warsaw Pact strategic planning. This results in a single card each of the rocket Mi-8 and the anti-tank Mi-24D occupying some expensive slots. And finally the air tab, which is apparently going to be average. These will include the Su-22M4 strike craft, the MiG-21 BIS in both strike and fighter roles, and the MiG-23 in an air superiority role. Eugens say that it has an arsenal of different units, including good mechanized infantry, artillery and tanks. The welcome addition of the Soviet armor beefs up its largely reservist core. And I guess that's everything for this week, so next week we'll be getting 4.2. Thanks as ever for watching, please do like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon.